guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Talkinsen. It's me, Ogechi. Welcome. OMG, how are you all doing? I hope you're doing well and going to have a nice Christmas. So, for this video, I'm just going to do a video a bit on a relationship advice. If you don't know anything about Talkinsen, it's a channel where we talk sense into spiritual, social matters or religious matters as well, and also talk and give some guidance and advice on life issues. For today, we're actually focusing on relationship. Okay, so we do that as well, and I also do some cooking videos. Those are like kind of the popular ones, as well as my advice videos. So there's something to take from this video. Really, that's what I'm trying to say, and a bit of some fun events and stuff like that. Basically, whatever I get up to, okay, that I want to show. Okay, so that's basically this channel, but mostly it's about talking and just giving advice and just relating you to with you guys and just relating my thoughts to you guys. So basically that's what Talkinsen, which means talking sense, okay, is about. So we talk sense into these issues. So if you like this channel or like the topic that you're going to listen to, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Liking and sharing is very key because it does help in promoting this video and making it reach to audience who may not be able to find the video without your sharing and liking the video, because obviously the algorithm of the YouTube would help push it up. So basically that's my own 2 cents and my own plea that you share, like, and subscribe, and leave a comment as well. Engagement is so key. Please leave any comments that you have on, or any thoughts that you have on the topic being shared today or in this video. For more information about my channel, just go to the channel page. You'll find out a little bit more about me and what I do. So yeah, welcome to Talkinsen. So for this video, I titled this video, or what I'm titling it, hopefully I have enough characters or I don't go over my characters, on titling, is on some mistakes a woman makes that can cause her to lose her man, or a man that loves her. Okay, so there is a popular saying that says a man's desires respect more than anything in a woman. If you ever watch anything on internet, for example, those that give relationship advice or advice in dating and marriage, they always tell you respect. Respect for a man is so important. Despite any argument that they may have in this relation or in this relation, they always come to that consensus that yes, respect is desired. It's like one of the, if not the most highest thing that a man desires from a woman. So you may ask, doesn't women desire respect? They do too. Obviously, the answer is a resounding yes. Women desire respect as well. But it seems like based on the scientific or social experiment or any experiment that has been conducted, or even research and surveys, it seems like that respect is not a top priority for the women. Often love and care, which in itself are all intertwined with respect in a way, because for you to love someone, you kind of have to respect them, and care for someone, even respect is even more in that. But it doesn't get to the forefront to say as a word of its own or as a character or behavior of its own that women desire. So hence it's often attributed to men because they are the ones who often put that as a very, very key priority to them. Okay, at least that's basically how I see it. So one covers the others in terms of love and care. They all covers one another. So that's that. So this blog, however, is not just about talking about what men want and what women want, as most vlogs may do. My focus here is for us to learn the lessons that other women has made that made their relationship not to work out, especially of a man that has loved them so much. And please, I emphasize on the man that has loved them. Love being the emphasis there, or really cared about them. Okay, because quite honestly, I'm not saying that Well, I'm not saying that everyone, let's say every man that comes into a woman's life respects them or loves them, but I think, anyways, the topic of this discussion, as I mentioned, is to pay attention to some of these lessons that we can learn from other women's mistakes. Because as someone, as they say it, life is full of experiences. Life is an education, but you don't have to really go through every experience to learn that lessons from them. Okay, so now the story I'm using to give this advice is from Queen Vashti of the book of Esther. And the book of Esther is found in the Old Testament of the Bible, Christian Bible. Okay, so for this video, I've made notes. So if you hear me flicking through my paper or my book, that's because I'm reading what I've written to help organize my thoughts and also help tell the story a little bit clear and just, make it flow. So, who is Queen Vashti? Vashti. Queen Vashti is a queen at the time of Esther's era, okay, who was married to King Xerxes. Do you know? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but it's spelled as Xerxer. So X for xylophone, E for echo, R for Romeo, X for xylophone, E for echo, S for sugar. Okay, and he is a king that ruled over many provinces. Okay, and if you're not familiar with the story, please go to the book of Esther in the Old Testament and read for yourself. It's quite a short, sweet, lovely book to read and quite interesting and intriguing and thought provoking as well to an extent, and full of, if you want to know anything about femininity, anything about how to be a queen of your own right, how to maintain a throne. And this throne doesn't have to be a palace throne, but a throne of wherever you find yourself in, how to just learn the art of being a woman and using your feminine qualities to win favors and to be in a place of endowment. Please read Queen Esther. There's so much more about her that we can take from her story, but there is so much to unpack. I'm not focusing on Queen Esther's story today. I'm just focusing on Vashti. Okay? Queen Vashti is one because I feel like she's the one that flopped, that allowed the room for Esther to come in. I don't feel like it is actually what happened. Okay, so the story is actually between the chapter 1 to 2, a bit of chapter 2, not too much of chapter 2 talked about Queen Vashti, because that's when Esther came in from chapter 2. Anyways, let's continue. So if you're not familiar with the story, please, I will tell you the story. Just be patient, listen, and just enjoy and take in what has been said. If you're familiar with it, I'll still say listen and understand because I've read this story before, but the way I understood it before and now are quite different. Before, I was so defensive. I mean, I was defending Vashiti, but now I can reason it differently because I'm more matured now. I can see things from a very different perspective and actually able to reason from the biblical perspective on why she experienced what she experienced. I mean, Queen Vashiti. Okay, so let's go. This is the summary of the story of Queen Vashiti in Esther's story on how she became dethroned from being queen. So I'll talk about King Xerxes because Vashti is only mentioned a few times. So it's good to talk about the king and to give that body of story for the queen himself. Okay, so Queen Xerxes is a king who ruled over 127 provinces, stretching from India to Kush. He is married to Queen Vashti. He loves Vashti and found her very beautiful and indeed admired her. Okay, and he is a kind-hearted king, liked by people, the people that he governed. He also is a great host, okay, and likes to throw events and parties. Whilst these characters are not explicitly mentioned about him, you can actually deduce them from the text and words used by the writers in the Bible, okay, to describe his actions and words. On the third day of his reign as the king, he threw a banquet for all the nobles and officials of his kingdom and beyond, for 180 days, where he displayed the vast wealth and splendor and glory of his kingdom, like every king does. Okay, basically showing off what his kingdom does and just what he has achieved in his own reign. When this was over, he had another banquet. This one is a more of a smaller banquet. Well, not a smaller, actually, a more of a every. It's like a. I will look. Trying to find a proper phrase, but I'll just describe what it is. Really, is about a party that is now for everyone in his kingdom or the places that he ruled to come and enjoy and marry with themselves with him. Okay, so this banquet actually lasted for 7 days compared to the first banquet, which lasted for 180 days. Imagine that though, 180 days party after party. Hey, wow. Anyways, this is the era we should have been in. So, anywho, and 7 days of party after that as well. So that's like 187 days of just having fun and enjoyment. Anywho, let's continue. So this 7 days party or banquet is for everyone in his kingdom, and this is including from the least to the greatest. So no one is discriminated. Okay. Remember, the first party is for the nobles and officials. The second party is for everyone. So to show how kind and loving the king was, he ensured that he that all those who attended were not discriminated against. Okay, he ensured that by his actions and the commands that he gave to his servants, and he allowed them to marry and drink as much as they wished. Okay, Queen Vashti, on the other hand, was hosting a private banquet for the ladies or women in the palace, and this is in a garden, like a little banquet. Understandably, obviously, she's a queen and she's hosting those women that are in the palace and everyone that is palace orientated, I guess the women there. So she was also enjoying the banquet and doing her own thing. So on the seventh day, which is the last day of this whole banquet coming to a close, the king, King Xerxes, requested for Vashti to come to him, and the reason given here was he thought of her as being good looking and thought she is beautiful. So this is what she said, to display her beauty to the people and the nobles, for she was lovely to look at. That's according to Esther chapter 1 verse 11. So that's how the king saw Vashti, that she is beautiful and that she's lovely to look at. And the king was in high spirits. Imagine a successful 186 days of party after party, and it's coming to a close, which is the seventh day, 187th day of the whole event. So, in high spirits, he made a request through his servants to bring the queen, to ask the queen to come to him. However, the queen refused to come to him. Interesting. I'll say why is that is interesting, because I would have thought that it would have been just okay to go to the, even if it's for 1 minute, 2 minutes, come attend to your king. But she refused, so the servants relayed the message back to the king. The king got mad. He was furious and burned in his anger. And in that anger, he decided to seek out for advice from his counselors and experts of his kingdom on how to handle this issue. Because this issue, in case you don't know, is no longer like a small issue, because I'll explain later. Okay, actually, I'll explain later why it's actually bigger than what you may make out of it, because pri- prior to me rereading this story, because I read it like some years ago, but now rereading it now at this point of time, it made sense to do that. So he sought for legal advice from his experts and the people that are counseling or advisors of his kingdom on how to handle what Vashti and what she did. So they all consulted with each other, and out of their discussions and deliberation, they came to the conclusion that Vashti, Queen Vashti, had to be dethroned from her queenship and another queen found for the king. This was what took place. So the reasons why they made the decision that they made, I'll tell you. This is what it says. They said that first, the Queen Vashti's action, they recognize it to be wrong, but this is not just wrong to the king himself, but also to the kingdom and the nobles in that kingdom and the people of the province where the king ruled. They also said that if other women are to learn what Vashti did, they will emulate her behavior, and other noble characters of their kingdom will start being disrespected by their wives and their women, okay, in similar manner. And then justification then will be what Vashti did. Remember, as a queen, she's the highest role model, at least for the women, to emulate based on her character, behavior, and conduct. So they said that for this purpose, the disrespect will not be coming to an end. It will be endless. Hence why they made the decision to dethrone the queen. So this whole thing then led to a decree as well, that the king made a rule that every man should be ruler over his own household. So this is what I was saying. Queen Vashti's action just didn't affect her, it actually affected the whole kingdom, the women in that kingdom or provinces. After this, the king anger subsided. Vashti was dethroned because, quite interesting, the Bible at that point stopped calling her queen, or stopped writing, associating queen to her name, and just write it as Vashti. Okay, just an interesting note to make. And then she was dethroned, and a quest for a new king a new queen, was commissioned. And this is where Esther's story started, or where she came in. So here are the food for thoughts I think we can all look into in this. Is first, you may ask yourself, was the king seeing Queen Vashti as a trophy wife? My answer to that is no. The reason being that, for me, for a man to want, forget about him being a king, yeah, for a man to want to show you off in such manner and to such people, it means that he must highly regard you. Admire, yes, who doesn't want to be admired? Every woman wants to be admired. No man who likes you or loves you will ever want to keep you hidden. Okay? No, they want to show you off. It also not just feels their sense of um confidence or pride or ego, whichever word you want to use it, but it makes them feel special. There is something about that. You yourself, let me say, if you buy something that is so expensive, yeah, most people don't often hide it. They often want to show it off. Hence why we see all these designer labels everywhere. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is the value that you place on something is what makes you want to show it off. And that's the reason why I believe he placed so much value or emphasis or regard to Vashti, and hence wanted to show her off, but obviously she didn't clock that. And yeah, she said no. So that's hence I say he didn't see her from a trophy wife perspective. And even if he did, what's wrong with that in that situation? Because she's at least sitting on the throne. So it would make sense to see her as a trophy wife. Don't mind me. Anyways, the second thing that may have come into your mind, because this one was the one I struggled with so much the first time I read the story, was couldn't he just have forgiven her? Hmm. So when I reflected on this story and reread the whole thing from every chapter to chapter, and then reasoned from their perspective, it made sense that they took the decision that they took, or the queen anger became justified to me, because I was like, yes, privately he could forgive her, but publicly no, because what she did was public insult. Did you get that? He publicly insulted her. Oh, let me tell you how. The no that she said was not a no to the king alone. She said that no, like it wasn't a one-to-one no. like him and the king talking, she and the king talking, and she said no. The no was passed through the servants who are third parties. So there is no way that whatever she did or said was not going to get out of the palace, okay, and be shared in the kingdom. So that private no was actually public no. So he may forgive her privately, but publicly no, because regardless of what forgiveness counts, he may forgive her altogether, but the actions still need to be taken. Something still needed to be done to address the situation. I'll give you an example. I think, I don't know, in law, I think they said something. Yeah. Um, I don't know. There's something that they say about law. Forget, please. I know in law they say something about even if someone forgives, the law still needs to be upheld. This is why he sought for the legal team. If it was an ordinary citizen that did that, I bet that person would have been hanged, thrown, killed. That's how it is in those days. Okay, or given a grave punishment. But this is a queen, so a different approach needed to be taken. So, hence why I say that the action was justified. So, was Vashti really wrong in saying no? I say yes, because she wasn't sensitive. And I'll tell you the reason later on. She was wrong in saying no. She has her right to say no, but as I mentioned, that no was a public no to the king, not to any ordinary husband that is one to one. This is to the king. Even if it's a one to one husband, there are certain ways you would behave publicly and privately. So, she was wrong. I just thought it was like literally wrong. Anyways, I always thought it was wrong to say no, or but she has her rights. But in that case, exercising that right in that situation was not right. So, was the judgment justified? Yes and maybe are my answers. Yeah. An action was taken. That was what they came to conclusion. Their reasoning made sense. Because imagine if they said, oh, what would they have done to Vashti? Just leave her there. Because she's the king, they couldn't have done anything to her. She's the queen, I meant. They couldn't really have done anything that would not tarnish the throne either. So that was the best situation that they can come to solve that matter, because it wasn't like a grave matter that results life and death, perhaps. But depending on the king that you meet, because other kings has been acting so out of character, out of pocket, like little things will lead them to like give one crazy decree like that and end someone's life. Anyways, in this situation, I say yes and maybe. There is no no to this. Is there any other option that you think they could have taken? You could put that on the comment, please. That's the purpose of this whole thing. Let's have a discussion. If there is any other solution you think they could have come up with. But that detriment was their ultimate goal, because it also sent the strongest message to the whole kingdom not to disrespect the king. So that is the food for thought that I just spoke about and gave you a little bit of story, background story of what took place. So now we're going to look at the lessons. At this point, if you want to take a little bit of sip of drink, okay, to chill, reflect, re-reflect, comment, please do so. Like, share, subscribe. Just take this moment to do so, okay? So let's take a breather and think of what has happened, and then we'll look at the lessons or the mistakes that she made and what we can learn from those. So continuing on, these are the mistakes I believe Vashiti made. One is that she was not sensitive to the season. Here is the reason why. When the king made this request, the king was in high spirits. The king was hosting people. This was a public show. This was a public event. This was something that everyone, anywhere in the kingdom and beyond, would speak about. Is what would be heard. She was not sensitive to the occasions. She was not sensitive to the season. She was not sensitive to the atmosphere, the environment that required her obedience to ensure the ultimate success because this whole thing is like 186 days gone, and this one thing is the thing that tarnished the whole thing for the king. Imagine that. So the what the king did in this situation was justified because Queen Vashti, her mistake, biggest mistake, she wasn't sensitive to the season. Okay, this is a season of merriment, enjoyment. It's like if there's other bad characters we had before, drop it somewhere. Do you understand? Drop it, drop it. This time we are just there. Enjoyment. Do what you're required to do to be the greatest host you can do. Okay, so the next thing I put as a point of mistake that she did is self-indulgence. I felt like she got so caught up in her own private party that she was hosting with the other women that she became so indulged in that she forget her role. Okay? That she forgot that she was meant to be hosting the whole nation, not just few women. Okay? So for some people, they say it's also a thing of pride. Maybe she became prideful at her position as the queen, sorry, that she forgot what she needed to do. But perhaps it's not a case of pride, but a case of just, again, lack of sensitivity and over self indulgence. Okay. So that's another point. So, and I'll bring this whole back on how someone can make, like, lose their man or someone that loves them. Okay. The third point I'm making is her forgetting her position to the throne and the responsibilities that comes with it. First of all, Queen Esther, her first responsibility is to the king. I don't know if you've ever watched one of these, at least when a king is being crowned and they have their queen. Do you notice that the queen, when they read out their thing is to serve the king. That is their thing. They even read it out to serve the king. Do you get it? And then the nation. I felt that Vashti forgot that. She forgot her position in the throne as the queen, and also the fact that she's a role model to the people and also is subject to the king. No matter her position, she's still a subject to the king. The king is not subject to her, she is subject to the king. So she forgot her position in that situation. And then another following up on that, I also put lack of submission is her thing. She also forgot that from a husband and wife perspective, she forgot to submit to her husband. She didn't forget. She just failed to submit to her husband. Okay? She's first a wife before a queen. So again, she neglected that duty, okay, of submission. The fifth one I put there is that she neglected her husband's need for connection. So I've had an advice, there's this relationship advice I heard that talks about is being sensitive to some your partner's moment of connection. This connection could be just sharing a story and you people laughing out. The person wanting to tell you something. Like, someone is so excited and they want to share something with you. Even if you don't find it interesting or you think it's not funny, at least pay that attention. Listen to the person and have that connection. Allow that room for connection because that is that person's moment of showcasing their time of wanting to connect. Sometimes people are not in sync of when they need to be connecting. Emotionally, I'm talking about. But that is a time of connection because maybe during this whole period, imagine how it is hosting so many people at the same time. Maybe he has not really been close to Vashti for a long time or duration of period. And he just needed her presence. Okay? So hence Vashti felt to recognize that need, that emotional need for connection. Okay? she wasn't sensitive to the queen's emotion, and even the Bible said that he was in high spirit. Well, although he drank, but he was in high spirit. This is from a positive perspective. He was good, he was happy, he was like, do you know, at that moment, you know, he could have done anything. I will tell you how Esther utilized that high spirit. This is how we call intellect. Thank God. I can go with Esther like forever. I will tell you how Esther utilized that high spirit and put in not necessary high spirit from the merriment and everything. That high spirit for her own advantage to save her people in later story. Not this vlog, but in another vlog. Okay? But Vashti was not sensitive. That's what I said. Understanding that, because sometimes when you find people in their high spirit, that's when you're able to get what you need. Do you understand? This is not even just about husband and wife. Yeah, this is when someone is in that positive mood. It's almost like make your request. I'll go do a cross example, okay, later on. Anyways, let's continue. The next point I put here, so this is the fifth point I've mentioned. The sixth point I mentioned is that not realizing that her private no, she didn't realize that her private no or refusal to the servant is a public no, as it is passed through the third party and not to the king directly. So I think I mentioned it already. I think she I'd already mentioned it, like her private no was a public no, because it was not a case of just me and you, it was a case of through a third party. So obviously he's also saying no, I don't want to see the people. Do you get what I mean? It's like I want to show you off to my people, to my kingdom, to my people that are subject to me. You say no, not just no to the king, but to the people. I don't want to see the people. Do you understand? Perhaps that's why the pride issue may have come in. So, hence why she failed to do that. Um, and then the seventh point I put here is that her failing to correct her mistakes quickly also didn't help her. Here's the reason why I put that. I just felt like if she was intellect enough, yeah, or if she was sensitive enough to the situation, you know, sometimes you do some things you don't recognize that we made a mistake. Yeah, if you don't recognize it, like that's when these decisions will be passed against you. But if you recognize it, yeah, just go straight back and just correct that. Just, you know, like some people, I know, like sometimes someone will say something. Even that has happened to me. Like someone will say something that maybe they didn't mean, and before my mind can like maybe it was not a good thing, but yeah, but before my mind can marinate on it to even discover where like the hurt was coming from. They have come to apologize. If someone has done that before, because I didn't even really think, even if I didn't think of it as something, but if you yourself recognize it as an issue, like then just explain, like person came to explain that this is how I meant it. That's like quickly correcting your thing before it sinks in. Do you get what I mean? So hence why the king may have even like calmed down before he started consulting or seeking for advice externally. So hence I thought she didn't correct her mistakes. Okay, now let me quickly enough, that's another mistake that she made. So let me then put that as to losing a man. Yeah, all these points are the same. I'm just going to like summarize on why it affects relationship in a negative way. Is that when you are not sensitive to your role in position and season that you are with your partner, no, actually your husband or partner, yeah, when you're not sensitive to the environment, the mood, the emotion, you know, it's sensitivity is such an important thing when it comes to relationship. Like even if, like, take your example, like even if you have other relationship, even if it's like siblings relationship, yeah, of parents to child relationship, you have you noticed like some when they are in good moods, like you know, like the seasons to do certain things as you have grown with these people or they have trained you. You just have to know. I'm sorry, I think it's something that only you would know with the person, because you're the one who is in one-to-one situation with that person. When a person is ready to speak, when a person is not ready to speak, when certain things to do at a certain period, sometimes if you're not sensitive to that, you can do the wrong thing that then annoy the person. And just it's just important if in a relationship, yeah, if not, even if you have are not like yet married, but you're dating to marry, yeah, or a courting to be precise, to marry, then it's important to know that be sensitive to the season, environment, time, everything works with time. Okay, time for everything. Okay, if maybe Vashti, I bet this is not her first time saying no to the paying excesses, but this type of no is not a no that is acceptable. No, yeah, at the time and the season is not unacceptable. Okay. The second point I made was that she was self-indulgent. Yeah, don't be too much into yourself that you neglect the needs of others. Okay, attend to their needs. You can, I mean, as a woman, usually you never really self-indulge if you're in a relationship or marriage, often are attending to your husband's needs. But even at that, if there are cases where even if you're attending to the needs of others, that you forget. Some people you forget about your own family needs. Ha, because bring yourself back, yeah. Your husband comes first, or the man that you're in relationship with for marriage. Thank you. I'm talking about Christian-based relationship here. I'm not really talking about other type of relationship. So, yeah, please don't be over self-indulged that you're helping everyone else, that you forget the role that you play in that person's life. Okay, and then obviously same vice versa if we're talking about a man to a woman. So I'm just giving a woman's advice at this point, yeah. And then the next thing I put there is don't be too prideful again of your own position as well. In this situation that she neglected her position, she forgot her position. Don't forget the position that you play in someone's life. Okay, if your position, this is what you have to do. Just understand your responsibilities in that role that you play so that you don't lose your man or the man that loves you. Emphasize that someone that really loves you and cares about you. Yeah. And then the next thing I'm putting here is submission. I know everyone tackles on this. One thing I love about the Bible, yeah, it says what it says. You can argue with your mother, argue with your father, argue with your, in fact, argue with yourself, inner self, every part of yourself. It doesn't change. Submission is submission. It says it there. And season after season, reason after reason, actions after action, years after years, century after century, the same way we talk about this respecting, yeah, submission is still the same issue that everyone experiences in their marriages that often leads to crashes. Yeah. So it's part of the whole package. So the Bible knows what it says when it says respect and submit, and also says love and care and all those things. It knows what they didn't have water in their mouth when they were speaking it. It says it. I believe it. Leave it as that. So learn to submit to your husband and don't forget that role as a wife first before whoever, even if you are the biggest, in fact, even if you are the flipping president of a country as a woman, if you have a husband, you are a wife first before your title. So the queen, the Vashti was a wife first before she was a queen. So she forgot that. I said another thing is just like obviously don't neglect your husband's need for connection, emotional need for connection. Understand that, okay? Even if the person is not speaking or saying anything, be sensitive to that thing. It may take time to get to that, but it's something that is everyday learning. Okay, it's not something that you grasp. And yeah, so hence all these points I mentioned. Also know when to like how to speak in public and when delivering message or receiving message from a third party from your husband or your wife, how to respond to those things, because the way you respond in public to your husband, I'm keeping saying husband and wife, but I'm talking about a man that loves you basically and you're in relationship with or dating, yeah, or courting to be precise. um Knowing how to respond to the person both publicly and privately is so important, okay, so that you also do not make fool of yourself, because that's what Vashiti did, and also don't bring disrespect and dishonor, because that's what she did also to the king. So yeah, let's learn from that. And also, as I mentioned, be quick to correct your mistakes. If you do anything that you know that is going to hurt someone, or if it hasn't hurt the person already, do your best to either explain if you feel like, if you stand by your point, but explain, but also do something kindly and kindly with care and love. But explain yourself, correct your mistake quickly, quickly. Don't leave it to marinate, because see what anger can do. Okay, so justify at this point is actually it's a very justified anger, because the dishonor was not just to the king, it was to the whole throne. So because of the season that we were on. So I once said I was going to do a example, and the example I'm going to give here is me bringing to a conclusion. So there were ultimate consequence to Vashti's disobedience or refusal to attend to the king's needs. Is that one, she lost the blessing that she could have received. Who knew what the king could have done for her? We can even tell it from the story of Esther, what the king was capable of doing. And I give an example again. Another example is the story of Abraham and Sarah. You know, after Sarah has attended to the angel guests that came, she didn't even know who they were, but she didn't even know what they brought, the blessings that they carried with her, with them. So when they requested her presence, imagine if she said she wasn't coming, or she said to Abraham she wasn't coming. She would have lost out on that blessing, on the promise, on the fulfillment, on the prophecy. Do you get? So sometimes that's why I say it's so important to be diligent in whatever your position you play in someone's life, yeah. But also be sensitive. Be sensitive. And yeah, just be everything I've said. Don't be shitty. Do the opposite, basically. So, as I mentioned, an example, Esther benefited from that high spirit. Also did Sarah. See, all of them were as with men, it's easy to get anything from them when they're high spirits. I'm not lying to you. I can testify. I'm a testimony, my dear. When they're I know what I'm talking about. It's easier to get something when they are in a good spirit than when they're in a bad spirit. And the same thing for you, anyways, as a human being. It's easier for someone to make a request that is outrageous or you would not even have done in your normal sense to do. Okay, but you will do it because of the energy, the positivity that you are feeling. You're like, yes, I'll do this. You become the yes man or yes woman. So be intelligent in that way to know how to utilize those emotions for your own use. Esther was like a prime example of utilizing it. And also Ruth, nah, I'll just say Ruth, gosh, if you have to look at this, when you're talking about femininity, yeah, and how to utilize your feminine power, look at those women. Esther, Sarah, Ruth, I bet there are many more. And Mary as well, Virgin Mary, mother of Jesus, yeah. I'm not joking. Like, there's so much to learn about these women. Maybe one day I'll do all 5 women and all the things to learn about how to use your woman power. Okay. Anyways, just to conclude, then is that Esther, not sorry, Vashti, having lost on the blessing that she could have received from the queen to the king, because who knew what he could have done for her as well, and then also ultimately losing the throne altogether. Yeah, that's the price she paid. So let's not make the same mistakes and learn from her, okay? In our own relationship with others, or every man that you are in relationship with. Do your best. I'm not saying, please note, I keep emphasizing someone that loves and cares for you and want to be with you. I'm not talking about situationship. I beg. And this respect, please note that is not something that is just to one man that you are with, it's to everyone. If you notice, when the king was consulting, he didn't consult him in himself, he consulted other people. Do you get? And they are the other people that said, this is very wrong. And they are the ones who passed the judgment for the king. Well, they didn't pass, they told the king what to do. And the king followed through. So note it that your actions is not just for the man that you are with or the husband that you are married to, it is to everyone. So note what I keep saying, the disrespect was not just to the king, it was to the people and the throne. Okay, so hence why it's just I'm not, once I keep saying a man, note that your actions speaks outside of your husband, outside of your home. Yeah. Anyways, outside of you. Anywho's, that is my 2 cents. As I mentioned, if you have anything that you want to speak or add to this, please add so in the comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you really like this video. And yeah, we'll be doing more of this kind of talks because I kind of like them, to be honest, because it allows me to explain myself further than just do quick videos like that. So on that note, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Signing off, Talkinsen. Sorry, bye.